Hi folks, and welcome to the Amazing Race 25 Music Podcast. I'm Lee Sanders, composer on The Amazing Race, and this episode has teams traveling to Marrakesh, Morocco, where all kinds of activities ensue. Teams run through marketplaces, they learn drum patterns, they twirl tassels, they pour tea ceremonially. What you'll hear behind a lot of this action is a type of cue that I'm often asked to write for this show, and yet the cues don't get a lot of respect. They don't get a lot of press. You'll never hear them on a soundtrack album. They're utility cues. They're not always thematic. Sometimes they're little more than a drone or a drum groove. They function to sew the scenes together, to give continuity where editing has to move between different events in different places and times. These types of utility cues come in and they function and they do their job. They're not flashy. They're very unassuming. Then they get out. As a matter of fact, you've been listening to one the entire time I've been talking. It's, as a matter of fact, the very cue I wrote for episode 2505. It's called Twirl. It was originally intended to be played under parts of the detour, and it ended up being used in various places in the show because I think it fulfills its function. It's simple. It's just an oud melody. It's played throughout the region. It's very characteristic ethnically, and so I used it here just to give a little more continuity and flavor to some of these scenes, to give them some pacing. Another subject I'd like to talk about, and we'll do it over the next several episodes of this podcast, is themes. You may not be aware of it, but for the last 13 years, I've been using a consistent set of themes for the show. We'll start by listening and looking at the adventure theme. It's the most common theme that I use in the cues for the show. It pops up in lots of different guises, in lots of different ethnic costumes, and we'll take a look and a listen to some of those right now.
This is the town square of Sant'Agata Bolognese, a small village in northern Italy. It's also the sixth pit stop in a race around the world.
So this is the main adventure theme that I wrote for the show. Back in episode 107, you are seeing it and hearing it exactly as it appeared in that episode, which is kind of neat to revisit after all these years. that's all for this episode. Join me next week when we're back in Morocco and back listening to more race themes. Have a great week.